Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. Amid the festivities, lots of news. Let's get you all the headlines first. 8 civilians are injured as Pakistani troops shell civilian hamlets and forward posts along the LOC in the Poonch and Rajouri districts. Indian Army retaliates strongly. US claims the key to India becoming a permanent member of the UN Security Council is not to touch veto. US envoy to UN Nikki Haley says the need to focus on Russia and China, which are against any changes. Chinese President Xi Jinping calls for building a community of shared destiny, emphasizes that China will never seek hegemony or expansion. And American author George Saunders wins Britain's Man Booker Prize for his novel Lincoln in the Bardo, becomes the second US author to win the award in 2 years. Our top story this evening is from Kashmir, where 2 fresh instances of ceasefire violations were reported. Pakistani troops resorted to unprovoked firing in Poonch and Rajouri districts, injuring at least 7 civilians. The Indian Army retaliated strongly to the cross-border firing that comes barely a week after Pakistan's army chief said that his country desires peaceful relations with India.
Over half a dozen people were injured in unprovoked heavy firing by Pakistani troops in Kashmir on Wednesday. The Pakistani Rangers fired heavy mortar shells at various places along the line of control in Rajouri and Poonch districts. Indian forward posts and civilian hamlets in Balakot, Basuni, Sandot and Manjakot areas were targeted.
सुबह 7 बजे से शेलिंग हो रही है। बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों को नुकसान हुआ है लोगों का, और 5-6 आदमी इंजर्ड हुए हैं और एक सीरियस था जिसको डॉक्टर साहब ने रेफ़र कर दिया राजौरी में। और बाकी जो हालात इस वक्त भी जो है ये देखो सामने अभी गोले पड़ रहे हैं, तो लोग बहुत परेशान हैं। इनको बंद कर दिए जाएं कहीं और एम्बुलेंसें इधर और दी जाएं, क्योंकि जब 5-6 पे आ जाते हैं इंजर्ड तो उनको भेजना बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है इनके लिए।
लगातार शेलिंग इस वक्त भी चल रही है, जिसमें बालाकोट, दराटी, बसूनी, सासुता, सोहाला, पंजनी और इस तिरकुंडी गली तक लगातार इस वक्त तक फायरिंग बदस्तूर जारी है।
हमारे ज़िले के मंजाकोट सेक्टर में और पूंछ ज़िले के बालाकोट सेक्टर में फायरिंग की जो वारदात हुई है। रेस्क्यू टीम्स या फर्स्ट एड की जो टीम्स हैं वो इलाके में मौजूद हैं, और जो ही कोई ऐसी ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो वो एकदम से रिस्पांस या रिएक्ट करते हैं।
In a separate incident in Pahalgam area, 4 people were injured when security forces fired on a mob following an alleged braid chopping incident. Amid the spurt in violent incidents, Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti met Home Minister Rajnath Singh in New Delhi. At the 30-minute meeting, Mufti briefed the Home Minister about the prevailing situation and the steps taken to maintain peace in the state. Rajnath Singh assured the Chief Minister of all central assistance to her government in maintaining peace in Jammu and Kashmir. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
American ambassador at the United Nations Nikki Haley has said that Russia and China do not want any change in the UN Security Council. She said while US is fully behind India on this issue, none of the Security Council members want any dilution of their powers and privileges. Nikki Haley also said that India should increase its efforts to garner support of the member nations on this issue.
Addressing an event organized by the US-India Friendship Council in Washington, D.C., American Ambassador Nikki Haley said while the US was on board for a permanent Security Council seat for India, China and Russia are not inclined for any change. She said that if India wants to lead the process of Security Council forward, it shouldn't touch the issue of veto. Haley said, and I quote, "This reform of the UN Security Council is much more about the veto. The permanent 5 members of the Security Council have the ability to veto. Russia, China, UK, US and France, and none of them want to give that up. So the key to getting India on the Security Council would have to be not to touch the veto," unquote. This was the first time that any permanent member of the Security Council was raising doubts over another member's intentions. But the fact remains that at the last India-Russia summit in Goa, Russia clearly supported India's bid for a permanent membership at the UN Security Council. Even China hasn't opposed India's candidature openly. For India, G4 members, Germany, Brazil and Japan have always said they want equal status, rights and privileges as old permanent members. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news, as the Delhi air quality worsens, a graded response plan has been brought in by the Environment Pollution Control Authority. A slew of measures have been ordered, such as closing of the Badarpur power plant, diesel generators, as well as hundreds of brick kilns. Essential services such as the Delhi Metro and hospitals in the city, which depend on diesel generator sets, will also be exempted. But if the air quality worsens, Delhiites may have to shell out 4 times amount as parking fee. Environment Pollution Control Authority Chairman Bhure Lal and member Sunita Narayan announced the decision following a review meeting in New Delhi. Sunita Narayan said that if air pollution aggravates further and in case it touches alarming proportions, cars will have to be off roads. This order will remain in force till the 15th of March.
We have moved into the very severe poor category, very poor severe category. Closure of Badarpur has happened as of today. Badarpur thermal power plant will remain closed till March 15th, and then there will be a permanent closure in July of 2018. The effort is to bring everybody on board to say, GRAP is coming in, this is going to be a tough period, actions need to be taken, put up your system so that vigilance is improved. Enforcement and vigilance has to be the way we move ahead.
Defence Minister Sitharaman today arrived at the Andaman and Nicobar Tri-Services Command on a 2-day visit. On arrival, she was accorded a Joint Services Guard of Honour. Later, she was given a comprehensive brief on the security environment and thrust areas of the command at its headquarters. During her stay, the Defence Minister will celebrate Diwali with the troops of Andaman and Nicobar Command and interact with their families during various events. This is Sitharaman's first visit to Andaman and Nicobar Islands after taking charge as Defence Minister. The Andaman and Nicobar Command is India's only tri-services command. Meanwhile, China's biggest political event, the Communist Party Congress, began on Wednesday in Beijing, and at the opening session of the CPC's 19th Congress, President Xi Jinping assured its neighbours that China is ready to resolve its disputes through dialogue. Xi also spoke about his plans to make the 2.3 million strong PLA the world's largest military into a world-class force. The week-long meeting will also amend the party's constitution.
Referring to the Doklam standoff, President Xi Jinping on Wednesday assured India that China was ready to resolve disputes through dialogue, but not at the expense of Beijing's strategic interests. He also tried to justify China's Belt and Road Initiative by saying it is not encroaching upon India's national sovereignty as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Xi was speaking at the opening session of the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party of China at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. His speech focused mostly on rebuilding the ruling CPC, keeping its socialist structure intact.
中国坚定奉行独立自主的和平外交政策，尊重各国人民自主选择发展道路的权利，维护国际公平正义，反对把自己的意志强加于人，反对干涉别国内政，反对以强凌弱。中国绝不会以牺牲别国利益为代价来发展自己，也绝不放弃自己的正当权益。任何人不要幻想让中国吞下损害自身利益的苦果。
Listing China's recent achievements in his 3-hour speech, Jinping said the country has entered a new era where it should take center stage in the world. Xi, who is the General Secretary of the CPC, also vowed to make the People's Liberation Army a world-class military by the mid-21st century. He also pledged to make a sweeping victory in its fight against corruption to escape the historical cycle of rise and fall.
我国社会主要矛盾已经转化为人民日益增长的美好生活需要和不平衡、不充分的发展之间的矛盾。 我国稳定解决了10几亿人的温饱问题，总体上实现小康。不久将全面建成小康社会。
The Congress, which takes place once every 5 years, will end next Tuesday. The closed-door summit determines who rules China and the country's direction for the next term. President Xi, who became China's leader in 2012, is widely expected to reign as the chief of the ruling party. The party is also expected to unveil new members of the country's top decision-making body, the Politburo Standing Committee. Nearly 3,000 delegates are attending the event, which is taking place under tight security. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here's a look at what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. Gold prices rose to 290 rupees in fact to a 3-week high of 31,000 rupees per 10 grams on the eve of Diwali at the bullion market today on increased buying by local jewelers. Silver held steady at 41,000 rupees per kilogram in limited deals from industrial units and coin makers. Delhi police seized over 1,200 kilograms of firecrackers and arrested 29 people from 13 districts in a drive being carried out after the Supreme Court ordered temporarily banning the sale of firecrackers. 8 cases were registered in North District against people found selling firecrackers. At least 8 people were killed and over 20 injured in an explosion that took place while making firecrackers at Bahabalpur in Balasore district in Odisha. The incident is believed to have taken place due to an incident of short circuit in a firecracker shop. The Central Bureau of Investigation said that it will probe the circumstances revealed in connection to the Bofors scam, including the information provided by Michael Hirschman. Michael Hirschman, who first found the Bofors papers, was a secret investigator deployed by the Indian government. The CPI today said that a pre-poll alliance between left parties and the Congress may not be possible as they are main opponents in some states. But it is essential to forge a common platform to fight the BJP. CPI General Secretary S. Sudhakar Reddy said that this could be in the form of a no-contest understanding. A quick break here, more news follows. In fact, we'll get you all the top international stories in a bit. Stay with us.
Situated at a height of 3,048 meters, the town of Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh is claimed by both India and China. It was historically a part of Tibet, inhabited by the Monpas. The Tawang monastery in the town is the largest Buddhist monastery in India. It was inspired by the 5th Dalai Lama, Gawang Lobsang Gyatso, and was built in 1681 by Mer Lotre Gyatso. Tawang monastery stands on top of the mountain, 10,000 feet above sea level, also known as the Golden Namgyal Latse. The centerpiece of the 3-storied monastery is a massive, richly adorned statue of Lord Buddha, whose benign presence blesses one and all.
Bringing in the bureaucrats was also a message to the outgoing people that, look, if you don't perform, we can get in the bureaucrats to do the job.
Everybody has to perform, and if somebody doesn't perform, he's out. And that applies also equally to us who are now being brought in from the bureaucracy.
The Christians normally have remained quite wary of BJP and, you know, its objectives. How are you really going to bridge that trust deficit?
We need somebody with the backbone to manage India.
Political violence in Kerala is also some kind of a symptom of a political intolerance.
There's a huge space for development politics. This is what we focus on. We are kind of painted in your media as being right.
Watch To The Point with Union Tourism Minister KJ Alphonse only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get you international news now. And the death toll in 2 suicide and gun attacks on Afghan security forces in the country has risen to 80, with nearly 300 wounded in the bloodiest day in the country in almost 5 months. It was a coordinated attack on the police in the southeast city of Gardez and Patkia province. The Taliban has claimed responsibility for the deadlier of the 2 attacks. At least 60 people were killed in the blasts and ensuing battle that lasted around 5 hours. Some 236 people were also wounded in the assault. Hospital officials are calling for blood donations now. In fact, a separate ambush also took place, and it was blamed on the Taliban in the neighboring province of Ghazni that killed 20 people, including 15 security officials and 5 civilians, while 10 people were wounded. The attack in Patkia began when 2 suicide bombers driving an explosives-laden truck and a Humvee blew them up near the training center, which is close to the police headquarters. The blasts flattened the building and enabled gunmen to force their way inside the compound. Most of the victims are civilians who had come to the police headquarters to get their passports and IDs. The attacks, in fact, are the latest in a series of assaults on security installations, including one on a military hospital in Kabul in March, which may have killed up to 100 people, and a devastating attack on a base in Mazar-e-Sharif, which left 144 people dead. In Pakistan, at least 7 people, including 6 policemen, were killed and over 22 injured when a suicide blast hit an army truck in Quetta city. The death toll could rise further as 7 of the injured people are in a critical condition. Emergency has been declared in all hospitals of the city. Rescue teams, police and security forces rushed to the site after the blast. The bomb disposal squad said that over 100 kilograms of explosives were used in the attack. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan claimed responsibility for the attack. Security forces have cordoned off the area and a search operation is still on. Meanwhile, the Iraqi military declared mission accomplished in Kirkuk. The army also took control of all oil fields in Kirkuk region from Kurdish fighters. The fields were previously held by Kurdish security forces known as the Peshmerga, who in fact pulled out of the area as the Iraqi troops advanced into Kirkuk. The 48-hour operation saw Kurdish forces almost entirely confined to their long-standing 3-province autonomous region in the north. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said that Kurdish hopes for an independent state were now a thing of the past. This deployment of Iraqi government is part of an operation ordered by the Prime Minister to take control of Kurdish-held areas outside the 3 provinces that form Iraq's autonomous Kurdish region. Meanwhile, life is returning to normal in Kirkuk as many people who fled the region continue to return on Wednesday.
هذا اليوم تم التحرك باتجاه حقول النفط الشمال حقل نفط باي حسن الشمالي وباي حسن الجنوبي ومثل ما تشوفون حاليا احنا بسطنا الامن وفرضنا القانون بالحقول النفط الشماليه.
A wave of deadly wildfire in Portugal was brought under control as overnight rains and cooler temperatures helped firefighters in their operation. The fires that broke out on Sunday in northern and central Portugal claimed 41 lives and injured 71 others. Prime Minister Antonio Costa declared emergency as over 4,000 firefighters fought some 20 major fires till Tuesday. The fires, which raged for 2 days, devoured many homes and left large areas of smouldering forests in their wake. In the central town of Paradise, small fires could still be seen in some parts of the local forests. Villages have been in fact abandoned, with many residential houses still left burning. Many roads remained closed. Officials are blaming more than just the weather for igniting the blazes and are looking into suspected arson. Meanwhile, a fresh blaze has broken out in Santa Cruz County in California in the U.S., which is now being dubbed as Bear Fire, even as firefighters struggle to control the deadly fires in Sonoma County and Napa Valley in Northern California. The fire has already burned through 200 acres, and firefighters said that the blaze is only 5% contained. In the past week, wildfires have consumed more than 245,000 acres across California, an area more than 5 times the size of Washington, D.C., and has claimed 41 lives. In more news, American author George Saunders won Britain's Man Booker Prize for his novel Lincoln in the Bardo, becoming the second U.S. author to win the award. Lincoln in the Bardo is a fictional account of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln burying his young son. It was the first full-length work by Saunders, who was previously best known for his short stories. Saunders was the second American writer in 2 years to win the prize after the rules were changed in 2014 to allow authors of any book written in English and published in the UK to compete. His novel is based around 1862, a year into the American Civil War, and is a blend of historical accounts and fiction. The novel has won £50,000 prize. Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, presented him the award. And here are more updates from across the world now in Global Buzz. The Accountability Court hearing a corruption case against Finance Minister Ishaq Dar adjourned proceedings until the 23rd of October due to the absence of Dar's lead counsel Khwaja Harris. During the hearing, the court was informed that Dar's lead counsel was out of the country. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy appealed to the Catalan leader Carles Puigdemont to act sensibly as the deadline approached to renounce a bid for independence. Rajoy's comments came after Catalonia on Tuesday refused to bow to the Spanish government's demand to renounce a symbolic declaration of independence. The European Commission pledged €118.5 million today to help Europe's cities guard against attacks. It also outlined how the European Union countries could do more to curb the sale of bomb-making materials. After a dozen cases in Europe of drivers using vehicles to plow into pedestrians, authorities have struggled to protect public spaces without disrupting the open character of cities. And finally, let's get you all the updates from the world of sports now in Sportsbeat. India will face South Korea in their first match of the Super 4 stage in the 10th Asia Cup hockey tournament at Dhaka tomorrow. India finished the pool stages with an all-win record. Korea, on the other hand, finished second in Pool B behind Malaysia. A division bench of the Kerala High Court on Wednesday restored the life ban imposed on cricketer S. Sreesanth by the Board of Control for Cricket in India, or the BCCI, in the wake of the 2013 IPL spot-fixing scandal. The bench gave the verdict on a petition filed by the BCCI against a single-judge bench's order, which lifted the life ban imposed on Sreesanth. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a penalty. Real Madrid were held 1-1 at home by Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League on Tuesday. Rafael Varane's own goal helped Hotspur take the lead in the 28th minute, but Ronaldo converted a spot kick shortly before half-time after a foul by Sergio Aurier. Real and Hotspur are at the top of the section now with 7 points each.
За ним водятся вот такие француза. 1-1. Cristiano Ronaldo в Лиге чемпионов.
Maria Sharapova lost 7-6, 6-4 to Slovakia's Magdalena Rybarikova at the Kremlin Cup on Tuesday. This was Sharapova's first match in Russia since returning from a doping ban this year. The five-time Grand Slam champion Sharapova committed several unforced errors in the first-round match. That's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.